The information discussed on Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell is believed to be from reliable sources. However, no responsibility is assumed for inaccuracies. No statement made on this broadcast should be construed as a specific recommendation of a particular investment product. Views expressed are those of the speakers and do not necessarily represent those of CBS Radio. Use only as directed.
Smiles, everyone. Smiles. And prepare yourself for...
Show me the money!
Ladies and gentlemen, the radio broadcast experience designed to keep your wallet in top condition. It's Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Talkin' money. Talkin' money. More money, more money, more money.
And now entering the studio, your guru for fiscal fitness, Jeff Tarbell.
Yeah.
I'm here.
I'm here. You there?
I'm here. What's happening?
It is all happening.
Nice.
It is all happening. This is going to be quite the weekend. Quite the sports weekend. A lot of things going on. And this is the problem when we take a week off. I've got like 4.5 hours worth of stuff to cover, and I'm going to have to do it in the first half of the show.
There you go.
So you're going to have to listen quicker, and I'm going to have to talk a little slower. So how you doing? Welcome back to Talkin' Money. My name's Jeff Tarbell. John Fodoroto down there in the main studios. How you doing, Johnny?
Doing well.
We have some guests going to give us a call in the second half of the show today. Steve Beatty, who's been on the show before. He's an attorney. Donna Riolo is a CPA. They're going to call in. There's so much confusion about the tax ramifications of a short sale and a foreclosure and things going forward that I asked them to give me a call and discuss that in the second half of the show. So keep an eye out for their call, if you will, and we'll get them up and going. We start every show the same way. If Chris is ready to go, Chris, what's up in your world down there, big boy?
Well, this Thursday is the start of the World Cup, so that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I got some World Cup news for you, but go right ahead.
So everyone who's going on and saying like, oh, who cares about soccer? It's not fun. I would tell you, don't watch the game by yourself. Go to a bar, go to a pub, and just feel the atmosphere. A lot of the American Outlaws group in Sacramento, we will be watching at Alley Cats downtown. You want to see just like people just going crazy, going nuts, having a good time. Come on there for the U.S. games, and you'll get caught up into it. It's sort of like a mob mentality where even if you don't know what's going on, you just get excited for just anything. So I think people should check out the World Cup, think about giving soccer a try, and become a fan. Also go out to the Republic's game tonight.
Yeah, well, I don't think you can get in the Republic's game, can you?
You can't.
No,
you got to know somebody who could get you in.
You got to know someone who knows someone, or you got to stand in the parking lot and just drink beer and watch from the outside. Yeah, I think that Chris is excited about the World Cup. I'm not sure the people in Brazil are so excited anymore. I was looking at this.
Yeah, not so much.
Did you see the? I don't know if John, you caught the back page. It was on the back. It was on the sports page of the Wall Street Journal, the one page they always dedicate to sports. And so to accommodate this event, which starts now in 2 weeks, I think. Let me see, what was the date of this? Maybe 1 week.
Starts on Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday. I'm sorry, this is a couple weeks old. This is the problem I missed. They had to build or remodel 12 different stadiums. Now think about this. We're trying to do one in Sacramento, and just think of the all that we're going through to do that and the expense. 12 different stadiums, and they listed them all here. And they listed the cost of each one of them. I mean, $310 million, $625 million, $254 million, $146 million. Added all up is $3.6 billion with a B, billion in new facilities or dramatically rehabbed soccer facilities for a country that, all honestly, I mean, if I asked you right now, is Brazil a country that's wealthy or not? I don't know what your gut response would be or gut reaction. Mine was, oh my God, is the gross net, is the GDP of their country even 3.6 billion? Because it seems like it's one of those countries that you hear about as doing not well financially, but they are the seventh wealthiest economy with a $2.2 trillion GDP. So
I didn't know that. I would have thought otherwise.
And I mean, in the same arguments you see in this country here, you see in this country in this article here, the same things you hear in Sacramento, which are, hey, we should be doing more schools and more of this and more, the things, not this. And of course, this is $3.6 billion. I think we're talking about spending $250 million which is the interest on $3.6 billion for a couple days. But anyway, it's interesting that and Chris, how long does this event last? Is it a couple weeks?
It's about 5 to 6 weeks. It's going to be in the middle of July when it's over.
Okay, so a couple months, and I guess they're going to end up with, just think about the facilities that will still be standing there when the event's over, and I'm sure the country will come to embrace it once the bill's been paid. But interesting.
Similar to the Winter Olympics in Russia.
Yeah.
Well, they're also getting the Olympics in 2 years in Rio.
Okay, so they can probably dual use some of those facilities for a number of things, I would imagine. Hopefully.
Well, the soccer stadiums all belong to different teams in Brazil.
Okay, well, they can rent them. I'm not going to see any skiing there. And now, so here's our other event this weekend. Today, actually, I think what time is the
California Chrome
race today? 3:30 our 3:30 local time. 3:50 local time.
TV 1:30.
And I am going to. This is interesting. I mean, forget about the racing, and the racing is really a small part of the business. The discussion now goes to. And I am not a horse race follower, so excuse me if I totally butcher this, but my understanding is that this California Chrome is 3 years old, and most people with successful horses don't race them when they turn 4. The reason being is they don't want to get them hurt, and they can make more money breeding them than they can racing them any further. The question comes up now: what do they do with the horse California Chrome once he is done racing? And the question really is where does he go? Does he go to Kentucky, which is the horse breeding capital of the United States, theoretically, or does he come back to California? And so there's an interesting little, there's more female horses and more breeding going on in Kentucky by a long shot. So the bigger discussion is maybe not whether he's going to win or not. The bigger discussion is where does this stud get to hang out for the rest of his life after it's over? But I am going to ask the two of you right now, what is your prediction on the race today? Does he do it or does he not, Chris?
I don't think so.
John?
I'm going yes.
I'm going with Chris, and not because I think this horse is phenomenally incredible, and I really hope he wins. I'm going with the odds, and the odds are I think the last horse was I believe it was Secretariat, and I want to say that was like in the 70s, like I was like 11 or 12 years old. I mean, it's just, the odds are against anybody for doing it, and so I'm going to go with the odds and not the bettors. But my wife was saying today that they were interviewing some of the people back in New York, some of the betting people, and they were saying, we just don't see him making it. So it'll be interesting to see, but it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, definitely.
That goes off at 3:50 today too. So, and then of course you got your.
Actually, that shows post time 3:50. So I think its TV start is 1:30. I'm not sure what time the race is.
And you got to sit around and talk about racing for 2 hours.
I know.
Like, come on.
It's already on ESPN all day long.
Is it?
Yeah.
Let's get it going already. Hey, this is the. Probably kind of like the last weekend of graduations locally here. Some of them started like ours did last weekend and throughout the week. And I'm going to predict to you that next year's graduates are going to look a little different. Instead of the traditional cap and gown, I think you're looking at more like hefty bags and little cardboard hats next year. So mark my words, next year will look a little differently. And I am referencing the email that I got this week from my daughter goes to the Roseville Joint Union High School District. As a parent or guardian of a 12th grade student, you're undoubtedly looking forward to graduation. A recent California Supreme Court ruling stated that high school graduation ceremony is an educational activity for which a pupil fee cannot be charged. Accordingly, the district may not require students to purchase a cap and gown, and effectively will be getting you a refund. What I read into that is next year, you're on your own. We're not doing caps and gowns. We're doing you can have a white plastic baggie or a brown or a black plastic baggie. Bring your own hat. So going forth.
That's crazy.
Now just think of the stimulus that will be coming back to all of us that had graduates this year. All of the cap and gown money returning to me. I may actually take next week off, John.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I may have. So anyway, if next year's cap and gown look a little bit more like the Walmart version, we'll know why. Or or do they just say, yeah, they can't charge you, so I don't know what they're going to do. I guess they're going to have to get you somewhere else.
Right.
So I get it though. Hey, if you can't afford a cap and gown, did your child not go to graduation? I mean, I don't even know how much things cost, but apparently I'll be getting a refund for which I'm duly grateful. Hey, I have a tremendous amount of. I'll do some of the fun stuff in the first half hour today. John's got some quiz questions for us. We do have some Rivercats baseball tickets. We got some Round Table Pizza. Give some of those away today too. I got some fun travel stuff to do. I'm going to do kind of hold over my real estate and those items for the second half when Steve and Donna join us. I don't know if did you catch this, John, about Uber? This was in this may you may not have, because this was in this morning's paper.
Yeah, no Uber this week.
So this is probably, I guess this is why I'm not a billionaire, for many other reasons other than the fact that I'm an idiot.
Just one of the reasons.
One of the many reasons I am not a billionaire is for the life of me, I don't get it. I don't get it. And what I'm referring to, Uber is now valued on paper, a big term there, paper, at about $18 billion. Uber. Now remember, this is nothing more than a glorified phone app that allows you to contact somebody to come pick you up. They don't make a profit, or they just barely turn one. They're in 130 cities, and basically you can get professional and non-professional drivers to come pick you up. This week, some private investors invested $1.2 billion into the company, and for the percentage of shares they got, it brings the value up to $18.2 billion.
How does that work?
Let me put this in perspective for you.
Please do.
Uber, which owns nothing. They don't own the cars they're picking you up in. They don't have any physical locations at the airport. They own a phone app. And a good idea. Hertz, you may have heard of them. Used to have a guy named O.J. Simpson who's running around the airport. They actually own a few cars. They're at different airports. Uber is now worth 50% more than Hertz. Uber is now worth more than the Hyatt hotel chain.
Wow.
Uber is now worth more than United Continental Airlines, Sony, Xerox, Harley, Mattel, and Whirlpool. Uber doesn't own a damn thing. Now, what's to prevent John and I from going out and starting Goober? Which is entirely possible.
That's a good idea.
We're going to start Goober tomorrow. We're going to get our own Goober app, and we'll send you with a car that looks like a Goober for half price. What prevents us from doing that? And immediately competing, creating a competitive market for. I mean, I don't get it. I like the idea. I mean, I get the concept of what they're doing, and I think it's cool. It was interesting. One of the analysts that was looking at Goober said, "Hey, we look at Goober." Right? I said Goober. I meant Uber. See, I'm already in business. Goober will be hiring on Monday, and I'm sure Chris will be our first employee because he's the biggest Goober I know. Starting Monday. We'll get our Goober apps out. We've got to get an app first, though, John, to create something over the weekend. But Uber is, people are saying, may actually cut into car ownership significantly, meaning that, I mean, think about it. If they're in 130 of the biggest cities, and maybe people don't have cars there anyway, but if they do, they look around and say, why do I need this car? I just hit this button and this tracks and tells me where the guy's at, and he'll be here in 5 minutes. Why do I need I don't need a car. Insurance and just storage and all that stuff. Forget it. I'll just use this. So this may hurt the car industry a little bit. It's certainly hurting the taxi industry, and is now worth more than all those companies I just listed. So if you got a grip on that, you're better than me. I don't get it. I would not put my $1.2 billion into Uber, but I would put about $100 into Goober. So we'll be taking memberships next week. And have you used Uber, John?
I have not. I know several folks that have, but
yeah, I know a lot of people that have. I love the idea. I just don't think it's worth 18.
I've used it a couple of times.
And was it in Vegas? What did you try there?
No, in Sacramento. Like if I know I'm going out with my friends drinking or that, I usually do Uber, just so I don't have to worry about getting a DUI or don't have to worry about waiting for a cab at 1 a.m. for like 2 hours.
Yeah, no, that's the biggest problem in Sacramento is you wait for a taxi for hours and hours.
Yeah,
like 12, 1 o'clock in the morning.
We just don't have enough. This is why at 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning I'm at home.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have that issue. This is the Goober system. You don't get a DUI.
We're done by 10.
I can barely make it from my back patio to my bedroom. That's the Goober system there. How are we doing on time? I know I got to keep on track here today too. We'll do a couple things. We'll take a break there, Johnny. I was looking over some other it is summertime. It's getting time and ready to do some traveling, and I just came across some really interesting travel-related things. One of them was that came out this week, which I thought was, I guess I intuitively knew it, but I didn't believe it. The airline industry announced they made an $18 billion profit last year, and that is up from previous years. And you look at that and you go, oh, those guys are totally taking advantage of $18 billion. That's a ton of money. But they have revenue of $746 billion, which means they had a net margin of 2.4%. And they broke that down to per passenger. How much do you think the airlines make per passenger in terms of profit? Anyone want to take a guess down there?
Yeah, $85.
It is $6. $6 per passenger is the net profit the airline industry makes. And if you start thinking that, hey, this plane looks awfully full. I think every flight I've had lately, maybe every flight I've had been on in the last 5 or 6, there was not an empty seat. Every single seat was taken. The industry is going to hit for the first time ever a load factor of 80% for the year, which means that 80% of the plane is full every single flight. And they have to if you're only making $6 a passenger. And by comparison, the oil producers who supply gas and fuel to the airline industry, they made $24 billion last year. They made more selling gas to the airline industry than the airline industry made itself. So next time you complain about airline fees, and most people don't seem to complain about them too much unless you book late, they made a whopping $6 on you. And if they had to give you a soda and some chips or something like that, so you got to deduct it. Well, I guess that was $6 after the soda cost. So it was a net $6. So there you go. That's what's happening in the airline industry. I'm going to come back. Let's do a quiz question, John. When I come back, I want to give you a 3 sites for hotel pricing. And these are new. These are not your Expedias or the other ones you're used to. These are new sites that will actually do some bidding and some other things for you, too. And you can get some humongous discounts, particularly last-minute discounts on some very high-end hotels. So I'm going to give you a 3 sites you can go to for that. And also some airline insurance, which is the big boy is out. Warren Buffett has now started his own airline insurance, and it could be insurance for something as nominal as having your flight be late an hour. You get paid. We'll talk about that when you come back, too. So that's a pretty interesting concept. I'm not sure how they're going to make money there, but maybe he didn't have to make money at his current wealth status. We'll take a quick break. Johnny, what do you got on your plate down there for our quiz winners today, or quiz guessers?
Yeah, so we're going to go to Kentucky here is our question. Authorities confiscate $3 million worth of what from a Kentucky home in the last week? Well,
it is the horse capital.
Right.
So authorities confiscated in Kentucky $3 million worth of something. 339-1140. Do we have a text machine working today?
We do.
We do. 44-1140. Is that still the number? Or did they change that?
That's still the number as far as I know. 44-1140.
Or you can text us at 44-1140 or 339-1140. What did they? I'm with the rest of you listeners. I have no idea what John is talking about. $3 million of something was confiscated from a Kentucky house. God knows what that could be. We'll take your calls and your questions when we come back. This is Talkin' Money. John Fodorero, Jeff Tarbell. We're going to be
right back, Jack.
Talkin' Money.
Well, alrighty then. We're back to Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Hey, you got to turn on the button there. This is what happens when I'm chairman and CEO of Goober.
That's right.
The money goes
desk.
The money goes right to your head, and you forget to push the button. How you doing? John Fodorero, Jeff Tarbell back with you. Segment 2 of 3. Today, as we are moving along here live with you, Talkin' Money. Johnny, did you get any winners to your Goober question?
We did get a winner. Actually, we got 2 winners. We got one on the phone, and we have one on the text line.
So the question was, there was $3 million of something that was confiscated from a home in Kentucky. Was it horse related?
It was no, it was not.
I thought you were going to tell me it was like, never mind. Go ahead.
We have everything from chicken, marijuana, bluegrass. But Eric also on the text line, if you want to send us the last 4 digits or your address, we can take care of you. But authorities confiscated $3 million worth of shoes, Nike shoes to be specific. But apparently the Radcliffe Police Department confiscated thousands of pairs of Nike shoes that were scattered in front of a home. The gals whose home it was said that they had purchased from someone else and did not know they were possibly stolen.
Yeah, because $3 million worth of Nike shoes always shows up in my house by accident. I hate that.
Could you imagine $3 million worth of pairs of shoes? Yes.
Well, yeah, was that I may have saw? Was that the one where there was like a shipment headed for like a store, and they think maybe someone robbed the whole shipment? This goes back.
Apparently, the shoes were supposed to be shipped in 2009 from a Nike distribution center in Tennessee to another one in Texas, but never made it.
Oh, the Great Shoe Robbery. I didn't hear about that one at the time.
The
But
Great Shoe Robbery.
yeah, $3 million worth of Nike shoes for that's like 6 or 8 pair, right?
That's thousands and thousands of pairs.
Yeah, what do you do with you show up at the denials market out there with a truckload of Nike shoes. I don't know, my buddy got them.
And that's what they said. They were bringing them to a flea market.
Yeah, well, a couple pairs at a time. All right, so we got some winners for that. Hopefully, if you did win, remember if you're texting Johnny, you got to give him your address because we don't get your full phone number on the text machine anymore. So we can get you out your prizes, and we'll have another question for you at the next break. I'll get back to my travel stuff in a minute. Did anybody catch the new sip and spit law? Does that ring a bell with you guys?
No.
Sounds dirty, doesn't it?
Sip and spit.
Sip and spit law. This was out of your Sacramento newspaper this week. Apparently, there is just a huge problem for young, under 21-year-old college students who are learning to make wine or make beer, is that they can't taste their own product in class. So they're having to spend all their time making wine and making beer. They don't get to sample whether that's good or bad or the influences on it. And that makes sense to me. I think it's funny that you have to have a law for college students to sip and spit. I don't know where else a college student could possibly drink beer and wine, and learn. I guess you could go across the street to the Graduate with your fake ID every Thursday night, like some of us used to do, and you could sip and spit over there. But anyway, there's our legislators at work, making sure that you can sip and spit when you're under 21, only in California.
Beautiful.
Hey, you know what? We need new young winemakers. So I'm all for it. I vote in favor of that one. I'm for sip and spit. But mark me up, mark for that. So I'm getting back to our travel stuff, and we're going to move into some real estate here in a little bit. New sites that are looking for, the article is new sites push to make paying full price for a hotel passe. This is I guess I didn't think about this, but several of the companies exploit economics particular to the hotel industry. As more rooms fill up and supply shrinks for any given night, the price for the last remaining rooms often gets lower than higher. So the reverse of supply and demand. The dynamic reflects in part that rooms are perishable items and generate no revenue when they're empty. So that makes sense. And often the industry you can cancel within 24 hours. You don't get penalized. So here's some sites. Write these down if you're looking to do some traveling and you want a little better deal in a hotel room. And the first one they referenced in the article was Stayful, like Stay Full, but with only one L, STAYFUL.com. They will put out bids for you on hotel rooms, and they also have recommended bids, prices which they know the hotels have or will take. Often, for a stay, hundreds of dollars per stay, less than you would get by going right to the particular hotel's site. The next one is Hotel Tonight, a mobile phone app. Offers discounts up to 70% off the listed prices for same-day hotel bookings. So there you go. You can use your Uber app to catch your Goober app to catch our car over to Hotel Tonight, their mobile phone app, and you can look for that. So that's a good one if you're stuck somewhere and you need a hotel room real quick. I don't know if they rent by the hour or not. You might have to take a full night. You have to check into that. Another startup, TripBam, B-A-M, boy, Alpha Mark. TripBam monitors prices. Even after a traveler has made a booking, the website offers users the option of canceling and rebooking whenever they spot a better deal. And the last one is Yapta, which stands for Your Amazing Personal Travel Assistant, Yapta, and they will use different alerts and reservations for you as well. So there you go. If you're going to do some traveling this summer, Stayful.com, Hotel Tonight, the mobile app, TripBam, and Yapta are your newest on the scene to save you some money. And I'm actually going to give that to our travel coordinator for our company because we have a few branch offices that are not in California. It'd be interesting to see if they can make something out of that, so you can get out and do a little traveling here. And as I mentioned before, on our last little summer getaway item, did you catch any of this, John, with Warren Buffett and his new travel insurance product?
I did not. I was just all tied up in his real estate. I did receive a call this week. Hi, this is Martha from Berkshire Hathaway. I'm like, oh, wow, Berkshire Hathaway real estate. They bought. So they acquired Prudential. Okay. And they've also acquired Prudential Dunnigan Real Estate. So,
really?
Yeah, so they've changed their names to Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Dunnigan Properties, and also Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. They also acquired Intero Real Estate.
That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, it was Intero out of the Bay Area.
Which isn't going to, I guess they're going to put a little blurb on the bottom, Berkshire Hathaway, but they're going to stay as Intero. So it was interesting to receive a call from Martha on a pre-approval that I wrote from Berkshire Hathaway. So
well, it does have a better sound, doesn't it, than any.
It caught my attention for sure.
Well, if you are keyed into what Berkshire Hathaway is, I mean, you may call some people, they'll be like, they'll just think it was two brothers, Berkshire and Hathaway. But those that are half awake will know that that's a real key brand. So that's interesting. Well, he also started I shouldn't say he, but Berkshire Hathaway launched a new travel insurance product last week called Air Care. Now this I like from the way they handle it. For a domestic trip, the insurance costs a flat fee of $25. Okay. You can buy it up to 1 hour before your departure time. You put all your information in there about yourself. So if there's if you don't have to file a claim for a payment, they will track different events and they will direct deposit the money in your account if there's an incident. And an incident could be fairly minor. So if your flight is 2 hours late, it pays you $50 regardless of the reason. It doesn't matter as long as it's not a war. If your airline delays your checked baggage for 12 hours or more, you get $500. You missed a connection on your flight, you get $500. You're sitting on the tarmac for 2 hours, $1,000.
Wow.
And
what's the price of this insurance?
$25 for a domestic flight. Air Care is
basically
basically
pretty good odds on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, so you would think so, but I'm sure someone has done the math and figured out. I don't think they're giving away $500 and $1,000. But they track the different flights, and so if the flight is, if they sell insurance on the flight from Sacramento to LA and it's an hour late, their system picks it up and it deposits $50 back in your account, and you don't have to go call them and try to track it back down. So it's a pretty cool little policy there, but they're betting the airlines will keep their act together, I guess. So interesting. Berkshire Hathaway is not new to insurance, by the way. They own a fair amount of insurance. I think they own. I want to say they own Geico too, but anywho, so next time you're looking for a little traveling, maybe throw down $25 and see. Particularly if you look around and you can do it up to an hour before the flight. You look around and say, man, there's some bad weather, or I'm running late on my travels, or I might get held over.
Hedge your bet on.
Throw down $25 and see if you pick up $500 to $1,000. If that's the case, John, you and I might just start traveling around.
I'm telling you. That's a part-time job right there.
Well, of course, we got to spend it. We got to find like the cheapest tickets that are always late, and we'll just start making. I don't know. Maybe we should just do our regular jobs. Hey, speaking of our regular jobs, how are we doing on time here? I'm yakking away.
Yeah, we have Donna on the line.
Okay, and we're waiting for Steve.
Yep.
Okay. Let's do that, John. Let's go ahead and take another break. Then we'll get our real estate stuff lined up here. We've got Steve Beatty's going to call in. Donna Riolo, CPA. We're going to talk a little bit about some activity in the real estate market. What happens to you if you have to short sale or foreclose this year? What happens if you did it last year? There's just so much misinformation, and maybe it's misinformation from the IRS. I don't know. We'll try to see if we can get a handle on some of that too. John's got a quiz question for you. Our numbers, I'll give them out to you real quick while he gets his act together there. 339-1140. That's 916-339-1140. 800-920-1140 if you're calling from outside the area. Or you can text me, 441140, if you want to answer our quiz questions. And just a reminder, if you're texting us, make sure if you want us to send you something, you give us either your full phone number so we can call you back, or your name and your full address. So John's got on the table what now, Mr. Nike Shoes?
Yes, keeping you guys thinking here. 1 out of every 12 people in the United States owns this album.
What?
I'm talking about albums, so this is going to be
record, like music?
This could be old guys like you, Jeff. Albums.
I don't have any albums anymore.
1 out of every 12 people in the United States owns this album.
And I will tell you that, because I know the answer to this one, I don't own this album. But I listened to that album.
You've listened to that song over and
1,000 times when I was younger. So 1 out of 12 people in the United States, is it the United States or the world?
United States.
The United States owns this album in their collection, and it doesn't have to be necessarily the vinyl, but it did come out on vinyl originally. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 441140. that's going to be, when you hear the answer, you're going to go, oh, duh. But that's going to be not going to be an easy one, I don't think. We'll take a quick break. We come back. We have some real people that are like real experts in their field, unlike John and I who just, play on the radio. These people actually know something. Steve Beatty and Donna Riola are going to join us when we come back. This is Talkin' Money. We'll be
right back, Jack.
Talkin' Money!
And we're back to Talkin' Money. And here's Jeff Tarbell.
Right. Oh, how you doing? Final segment of the day. This is Talkin' Money. Jeff Tarbell, John Fodorov back in the main studio. We did have a quiz question before the break, and actually, I don't think the answer was Motley Crue, but it might have been. We had what was it? It was one out of what was it, Johnny?
1 out of 12 people.
Yeah.
In the United States owns this album. The album was drum roll.
Does Chris have any music going?
He's too busy answering the phones over here.
Oh, come on, Chris. This is a high-level production show. I'm gonna have to. I can't even sing you the song. Go ahead. What was the answer?
It was Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon.
Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. 1 out of 12 people in the United States owns that album.
That's right. Not Thriller. We had a lot of text callers saying Thriller. Michael Jackson's Thriller.
I would have guessed that before I would have guessed Dark Side of the Moon. Now, does that make that the number 1 album of all time, or is it?
That I don't know.
I don't know. 1 out of 12. Anyway, I mean, I remember listening to that thing ad nauseum in junior high. So we have some winners for that. We'll get out some round table pizza or some River Cats, whichever you prefer. And we're gonna. Was Steve calling yet to you, Johnny, down there?
I don't see him in yet, but we do have Donna on the line.
Okay. Well, go ahead and pull Donna up because I want to get into this, and if Steve comes in, we can get him there.
Yes. Hi, Donna. You there?
Good morning.
Morning.
How are you doing? Good. Yeah, I got a little bit of echo, so it's hopefully it's coming across well. Donna, thanks for joining us. I was gonna get in a little bit. I got an email this week for Steve Beatty. Steve is an attorney, a local attorney, and he was getting into some of the issues that, quite frankly, have been really, really confusing for a lot of people, particularly going into this year. And what I'm referring to is how the IRS and how we as homeowners and home buyers and home sellers, how we treat a short sale or a foreclosure. And what are the lenders doing? Are they sending out 1099s for debt reduction? If so, what are we supposed to do with these things? And I just think there's so much confusion now. Clearly, there's not as many going on as there were in the past, but still, I'm probably getting a couple calls a week from people that are still upside down and trying to figure out how best to properly plan for those events. So I will shut up and let you jump in. Where do we even start on that issue?
Well, you're right. We've been in somewhat of a changing environment with these things really ever since 2007, where we've had unclear law going back and forth between the feds and the state, and whether or not the state of California would conform to the federal tax law. We had pretty good conformity through the end of 2012, where both the Fed and state would allow for primary residence owners who short sold or foreclosed to avoid the taxation by way of Section 108 of the tax code, which was qualified principal residence indebtedness. 2013, the feds extended it for us, but the state did not. And then at the end of 2013, as you're probably aware, we had a correspondence going back and forth between Barbara Boxer and IRS Chief Counsel. And that letter that was sent out changed the dynamic of things. So there are two different ways to look at a debt in the state of California, at least. One is whether the debt is recourse, the other is it non-recourse, and that's where an attorney like Steve Beatty comes in as he interprets the California Civil Code of Procedures and says whether or not the loan should be treated as recourse or non-recourse. And all that really means is, does the lender have the ability to pursue you for a deficiency upon sale? Well, what it means in tax terms is that if the loan was inherently recourse, meaning the lender had the ability to pursue you, and they chose not to pursue you by way of canceling the debt, now you've got taxable income. And I have a lot of questions from clients asking me, well, why? I didn't receive anything. And the answer is that the lender gave $100,000 to an individual, and no tax was paid on that $100,000 when it was given because there was an intent to repay.
Right.
When it's not repaid, when the lender receives either $50,000 in return for that $100,000 note or a property worth $50,000 for that $100,000 note, then there's a $50,000 amount of money that was transferred previously that was never paid back, and now it's taxable. If the loan was recourse, that's taxable as debt cancellation. And cancellation of debt is taxable on your return unless you qualify for an exclusion, which the principal residence indebtedness was an exclusion that was available. It's no longer. It's expired at both federal and state levels. So this letter went out because they said, well, what if it's non-recourse? California laws say that these debts are non-recourse. There were some changes in the California law that said not only, as it has always been, if you purchase a primary residence in the state of California, do you get non-recourse financing, but now the lender has no recourse post-short sale or foreclosure, but it didn't change the inherent nature of the loan. It just said they don't have any recourse post-short sale, just like they have no recourse post-foreclosure. So the way the debt cancellation is treated on your tax return when the loan is non-recourse is that you have no taxable cancellation of debt ever. There's a reference to a court case, Commissioner versus Tufts, that was established in the 80s or litigated in the 80s, and it established that there's never any taxable cancellation of debt on a non-recourse note. There's only gain or loss, and the way that's figured is the outstanding loan balance of the non-recourse note is considered the sales price on your tax return. So this correspondence that went back and forth between Boxer and Chief Counsel said, well, in California, we've changed our laws such that no lender can pursue a borrower post-foreclosure or short sale. So doesn't that make their loan non-recourse? And that was important because we no longer had any exclusion against the debt cancellation for primary residence. And the commissioner, the chief counsel, came back and said, yes, I think I agree with you based on some of these new laws. And then they just recently came back out and said, oops, I think that our interpretation was overly broad, and they retracted that. So last year, go ahead.
I said a little late.
Little late, right, because, I was very unnerved when we received the first letter because it didn't make sense. And it's a difficult job to try and have common sense and work in the tax field because so many things are outside of rational thought and common sense. But still, we had this letter from, the king on high, who supposedly we're supposed to be able to rely on. So the way that our firm filed returns last year was kind of hedging our bets. We utilized the letter and referenced it, treating many tax returns, many cancellation of debts as non-recourse, referencing the letter, but we also filed the Form 982 with the return, electing to exclude that cancellation of debt using one of the provisions that does still exist, so that we're preserving our right just in case they did come back and kick this letter out. And enough time went by where I was actually beginning to feel a little secure. However, now the new letter's out, and they're retracting their statement. They're taking it back to the way that it's always been. So the newest letter that comes out doesn't provide us with anything different than what we had before, which is if you bought your home in California and you've never refinanced that loan, it's inherently non-recourse, and you have no cancellation of debt. If you bought an investment property in California, it's inherently recourse, and you will have cancellation of debt. There was an addition to the law that is referenced in the latest letter from Barbara Boxer to Chief Counsel in response to his retracting his statement, which asked, are you going to consider all acquisition indebtedness as purchase money And we've not heard back from him, but I believe what they're referencing is a change to the California law which occurred, or took effect, I should say, as of January 1st, 2013, which said not only is your actual initial purchase money loan non-recourse, but if you were to refinance that loan for the purpose of only rate and term changes and taking no cash out, then your loan would retain its non-recourse status. So for people who are looking to sell now, they need to know, is my loan recourse or non-recourse? It makes a significant difference in the taxation. And to answer your question regarding 1099s, it really doesn't matter whether or not they receive one, because the income is there regardless. It's as if you were running a landscaping business and earning money, but your clients were not 1099ing you. You still have an obligation to report the income. And if you don't, they can catch up with you later. It's a good thing to try and get the 1099. Most banks have come around and are issuing them. We're seeing more consistency now with them issuing them with correct information, but for the first 3 or 4 years, they were just kind of willy-nilly throwing anything on there. There were a couple of instances where I called the smaller lenders and asked how they came to this information, and they said, we have no idea. We just put some numbers on there.
Yeah, we'll let you figure it out. We're speaking with Donna Riolo, who's a CPA, local CPA here, and if anything, and I know that there's probably 95% of the people that are listening just listen to your whole explanation, and their eyes just crossed right in their head, and they said, "What?" And this is and I hope that that's the case, because that should alert you to the fact that regardless what anybody tells you in the process, whether it's your realtor, your mortgage lender, somebody, most people listen to their third brother, their third cousin, or the guy down the street who's half drunk, and whoever you're getting advice from, if they're not, even the people that are like Donna and like Steve in the business of following these day to day, there's still even questions and a little bit of confusion between the agencies about what's going on, and I always tell people, why, for God's sake, don't call a radio show and ask them for advice on something as critical as this, and certainly go find somebody who knows what's going on and who's dealing with these, because the penalty for being wrong, or selling something when maybe you wouldn't short sell, or let the home go to foreclosure if you knew, oh, by the way, next year you're going to owe $35,000 in taxes to the IRS.
Well, and I think that Steve had mentioned something like that when I was speaking with him the other day, with regard to whether or not the IRS will honor the way that some returns were filed. And his argument was that some people may have chosen to hang on to their home, knowing that they would have a substantial tax impact upon sale. However, the initial letter that came out indicated they would be exempt from cancellation of debt income. So there may be a grandfather period to come. What I would recommend anyone do who did have cancellation of debt last year is contact their tax preparer and ask, was a Form 982 filed with my tax return? Because right now, we're still within the 6-month extension of time period. And if a Form 982 was not filed, hopefully the preparer filed a blanket extension for everyone in their database. That prolongs their ability to correct this failure to file that form until October 15th.
Hey, Donna,
they can turn around and file that and utilize some exclusions that they'll lose the ability to do beyond October 15th.
Donna, that music means I've got 1 minute left. So no, this is perfect. If someone wanted to get a hold of you, and particularly if they made a business decision in 2013 based on what could be a change in the law now, how can someone get a hold of you?
Oh, they can call our office. It's Riolo, Freddie, and Associates, and the phone number 916-771-4134.
771-4134.
Yes.
Donna, thank you very much, because it's just, in all honestly, I'm still confused. Other than the fact that I know that if someone made a decision last year, that may not be done, and so hopefully someone will get a hold of you. We got to wrap it up, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can reach Donna 771-4134, and I'll post it on Facebook too. We'll see you next Saturday, everybody. Have a great week.